I've done 3 K-pop Demon Hunters reactions so far, and somehow I haven't done Golden yet. Let's change that. But first, if you're not a Deli sub, what are you doing? Hit that subscriber button and the notification bell so you can be in the know when new reactions and tutorials are released. Alright, let's get into it. I feel like every video that I react to on K-pop Demon Hunters, everyone has a different vibe. How it's done is a little bit more straight up music video with some fighting. Bathhouse fight scene is a fight scene. I'd say your idol is a little bit more traditional in music video, but also live concert. But Golden is a music video because it's their music video in their world, but then also it cuts into the real world, so it's a nice combination. And it's pretty cool because the song itself is carrying the story, but these little cuts in between obviously are pushing the story when you're going to the audience and their kind of interview. So we'll get into all of that. We've spoken about the rule of thirds before. If you don't know, we split up the frame basically into these thirds: the top third, bottom third, left third, right third. And she is center, which is good. She should be center. But I like how the bed, just the edge of the bed, is on that left third, because if we were only like in like this on the frame, it'd be a pretty boring background. But having this edge right here just helps balance it out. What's also nice is we talk about leading line. It could be objects, it could be in the pose, all leading to where we should focus. This has a lot of leading lines in it. You have her hair literally leading to her face. Our focus is her face, right? Well, we have the sunlight from both angles. We have the covers are basically pointing, and obviously her body line is also pointing. And a little bit more of a stretch, but still relevant, is even her arm, the way it's kind of pointing now. And even this, when we get into, mirrors, imagine just these lines are pointing to her. And these are nice foreground elements, our audience. Again, quick, a nice little rule of thirds. We have the wall and her back is on this third. She's a little bit more center, just left of center, because I'd say about center is here. So she's just left of center with her head being here. But these are all just nice line. Her leg pushing up towards her face, her hair, her back, just all leading. But like the beginning of a music video, we're just seeing them all be moody, all moody, just holding in. If we want to talk about leading lines here, just to the trio, well, we have their sight lines. Everybody's sight lines is towards her. We have the lockers are all pointing towards her, these perspective lines, and even the shadow from the window where the golden light is hitting her, all of that is pushing towards her. I always love when we get to close-ups of eyes. We could tell a lot of the emotion and even of subtext from the eyes, the eye darts, all these different things. The way the light is just hitting, just coming across, is so nice. The light is this angle and her head is tilted this way. It's just a little bit of a contrapposta, which contrapposta is just basically, this is a principle when it comes to posing. This isn't a full body pose that we're seeing. A full body version of it is going to be like, if this is a body, right? We have like, let's say the hips and our torso. This is very boring. It's very straight on, all this. But if we tilt the torso, we don't want to tilt the hips in the same way. We can tilt it this way, and now it's a lot more interesting. And if we were throwing the legs in, we could be putting the weight here, the leg could be out. This is a lot more interesting. And to even push it, the head can be this way, and then maybe they're sassy pose. That's contrapposta. Now again, while this is not a whole full body contrapposta kind of moment, it just reminded me of it because we are getting just these kind of clashing angles, but it makes it interesting. It doesn't make it boring. Animators are always looking to make it interesting, to not make it boring, unless the whole point of the shot in a gag, a joke, is to make it boring. That's when you could go very stiff and very flat. You know, there's a lot of things that I talk about in these reaction videos where I'm kind of saying you should do this to not make it this. There will always be an exception, but the exceptions are rare, and the exceptions have to be intentional. If you say needed to make something boring, you know, that's your exception. Where, how do I make something boring if this character needs to be an absolute just square? Well, make it really flat, make that posing, and you can contrast that with the other character to help make that character more interesting and that character more boring. I hope that makes sense. I love this frame, the I Was Alone. Especially with music, we have to take into account the lyrics, especially when the lyrics like this are progressing the story. You know, we need to try to convey the lyrics, not always, but in a way, visually. You know, we can hear I was alone, but how do we visually say where I was alone? Well, we started out with her on a medium, and we're hearing I was ghost, okay, and then I was alone. And when we punch wide, we are center, you know, we're not losing our eye tracing there. So we're still focused on her, but there is basically nothing around her. All of this is empty. All of this is empty. Really, all we have is just a little bit, just for a few little bit of framing elements. But that's one of the things we have to do, is we have to try to interpret the lyrics and try to even convey the subtext in our framing and our cuts to help the audience feel a certain way, to empathize with a character, or, you know, if it's a villain song, maybe to hate a character. I always love these shots though, because, you know, we get to track with them. We're more profile, but we're getting all of that foreground element of the trees going by. It just adds to the speed. Even if she's not running fast, it just makes it feel faster because we have something closer to camera whipping by. This is where I say Golden is very interesting, because we're in the music video, we're just watching the music video. And in the beginning, we're kind of seeing everybody start to watch the music video, and then we went in. But now as we cut out from here, we see someone watching the music video. So our perspective is changing. Our perspective is overlooking the audience, seeing what they're seeing, then literally just seeing what they're seeing, not even thinking of them. But then it pulls us back to, let's say, reality and what they're seeing. And it's interesting, this happens a couple times. It's not just this moment. And you know, this, I don't know, hear me out on this. This might be a stretch, but I like this because we're in the music video. We cut back and we are essentially a POV of whatever this character is. Whoever's, you know, holding this phone, we are in their perspective. And what I like is that Rumi looks as if she's looking at that person, you know, because we're not a true POV, we're slightly off to the side. So it almost looks like she's looking at whoever this person is. You know, if you've watched a movie, if you know Golden, the whole point of Golden is to, you know, seal the honeymoon. They need to connect with their audience. So when we're in it and we're just watching the music video, we're not actually getting to see the impact that it's having on the audience. And that's a very important thing for the story. These shots cutting out are help progressing the story. And if they're trying to connect with them, it's almost as if Rumi is looking to the audience saying, hey, you know you're gonna love this. But that helps build that connection to the audience to help seal the honeymoon. I hope that makes sense, because then in the next shot, we see all of them. If you're gonna show a POV, or you're gonna show something that they need to be looking at, you need to show the character's face and then show what they're looking at. Now I know this is a music video, right? Like it is on this phone, but if they're trying to connect with the audience, this is helping subconsciously tell that story where she's looking. And what is she looking at? She's looking at the fans. This is one of those weird moments where it's like, it kind of is a POV, but also not a POV. And we're in the music video world and we come out to reality, but we need to see them. We need to see them react. It's really interesting and I like it. And, you know, as you're watching it in real time, you might not necessarily be picking up on a lot of these little things. I know I didn't pick up on a lot of these little things when like just watching it for the first time. Being able to go through and pause, I'm like, oh wow, you know, that was a subconscious thing. And one last thing before I continue is something that we talk about in animation when I'm working for another supervisor or I'm supervising artists, whatever it might be. There's something that we say where we don't want to see it, we want to feel it. And this could be camera shake. This could be a small little animation movement where the arm needs to, we call it an overcorrect, like it needs to kind of settle, but we don't want to see that settle, we want to feel it. What that basically means is that it's there and it's going to subconsciously feel better. It's not so drastic that it's distracting us. So when they're doing these kind of cuts and this kind of look and what I was just explaining, it's kind of a feel, don't see moment. Again, this is just a beautiful framing. The leading lines of the stairs up to her, the throne leading up to her, we have all of these lines pointing to her, as well as, you know, the light shining down on her, all to focus on her. But nobody is here, nobody is here. There's a lot of empty space here. Even the stairs are empty space, so it's just reinforcing that she is alone. Oh, this is a nice change of thought in the animation. You know, she's here, she's saying, I'm alone. She's a little sad. If you see her expression, you know, she's very tame. She's just kind of longing for that purpose to not be alone. And she closes her eyes. She's upset. You know, the line is, I didn't know how to believe I was the queen that I'm meant to be. But she's realized it now. So when she opens her eyes, and wow, actually, framing through, this is really cool. I mean, that is a big change over one frame. But if I play it, it's meant to be impactful, so it needs to be. But she is now fierce, her eyes open, and here, boom, she unveils the new outfit. She's not cloaked anymore, she's not shrouded anymore, she's not alone, she's free. Fun little thing here. When Zoe spins, you know, I live two lives. She literally spins twice. She's showing two different sides of her. And then she is torn between the two. Literally by a split screen. And also, you know, these hands that are yanking her. But just like Rumi, her eyes snap open. She realizes. And her skateboard is a nice frame wipe to transition us into mirrors. It's just a nice way. Music videos use this a lot, either like a frame wipe, or they might start on a clean frame. These are all just things that help the flow, get you from cut to cut, because music videos in general have a lot of different environments. If you're stuck on the same environment the whole entire time, could be seen as boring. Doesn't mean it is. So Mira, you know, just even in this framing, one, she's at the bottom of this kind of framing of the parents and family, and she's literally blocked in from this group, right? She's a lot brighter, meaning she's more dynamic, and the family is dull and kind of gray, so it's a nice color contrast. But then on the other side, these bars, while one being nice framing elements because they're basically on the third, they're also closing her in, right? They're locking her in. She wants to be free. She wants to be unique. Like she doesn't want these bars holding her back. And look at that. This is her moment of realizing who she is. What happens? Her move pushes back her parents, right? She's saying, you're trying to restrict me. But then, boom, that frame that was closing her in is opening up. And the frame was supposed to be like a family portrait, and also the color change helps. You know, there's all these little things that help. Obviously, the outfit, the gold coming through and shining in this very dull moment. And then this is just funny. It was like, you know, but now that's how I'm getting paid. And we zoom out and it's literally like a gold jet. That's how I'm getting paid. I can afford a gold jet. Is that a little overkill? Probably, but you know, she's getting paid. That's a cool little transition. Like we're in the music video, but then We see them on the gold jet now, all of them in their new outfits. But we pull out and we're actually looking at the phone. And they're going all around the world, which means, they're trying to appease to the audience around the world to, seal that honeymoon. And we get to see who is looking at that, which are, this group of people all huddled around this phone. This isn't something that's necessarily like crazy when it comes to animation or camera, but when we cut away and we see this group, this girl is saying I love it already, and that's just something to plant the seed that it's working. It's starting to get into everybody's brain, and this song could really work in the intention that they want. This is just nice because we're kind of calling back to that beginning of the music video where she was on the bed, she was light was shining on her, and she looks up, the light still shining on her eye, and currently she is still alone. There's a lot of emptiness here. But as we cut to behind her, the door is opening. It's changing for her, and she starts to walk towards that goal. We see Mira, turning her head. The door is opening for her as well. She's kind of huddled. She's isolated as well. She's realizing. Zoe is realizing as the lights go over her eyes, revealing, and that door fully opens. That's nice. You're getting the crowd singing, this whole entire song. You need to show them in the music video, and you need to show the audience loving it. And we're progressing. You can't just have it all just be like, I love it immediately. You have them all watching. They're all excited. You get the one girl, oh, I'm already loving this. The chorus kicks in. Everybody's singing along to it. We're just building up that audience, and the audience is growing as we go. We were just kind of like a few people. Okay, crowd is growing. This is even a larger crowd. So they're singing along. Love these guys. Point of the shot is not to just show that is done, that they've like listened to the whole thing. The point is to say that they love it so much they want to play it again. That's what Huntrix needs. They need everybody to just keep playing it and playing it and playing it. So again, intention of shots. But you had the big group singing along, showing that everybody is, able to pick up on it like that. You got these guys that are crying. It's so good. And in this one, again, the intention is to show like they want to play it again. And we got to punch in to really show they are clicking on it, and it starts again. So far, we've only seen people in person watching it. Well, now it's even spreading to social media. So it's even going to be crazier and go even crazier, and they pop. Then again, the crowd is growing even more. It's similar to Your Idol, how we were showing those crowds where they were like reaching out towards them, and that crowd was growing and growing. This is the same idea. It's just in this one they're just loving the song as opposed to like being possessed by demons. Look at this crowd. We're getting the pan over. We're seeing reactions, but we get to boom up and we see how large this crowd is. This song is really taking the world by storm. Now this is where it all kind of turns, Zoe and Mira, they're super happy. At this point, we're not ready for what we're about to see about Rumi. And it's a really nice way of showing it where, I think Bobby, like he's making sure everybody's set for the live performance. They're saying we're so excited to show you what's next. I mean, Zoe and Mira, they are loving it. But then we do this kind of classic kind of move, and this is more of a live action move, actually, where a set will be drawn. If we were looking at this top down, and let's say this was a real set, here's Zoe, here's Mira, and here's Rumi. So our camera is actually moving past just the edge of the wall. And a set like this would be built for a shot like this where, normally a room is probably like this and we have a flat wall and we're not going to be able to see in it. But we can remove that wall, you know, maybe push that wall here for the filming. So this is kind of a live action technique that they're doing this, but it's just a nice way to convey everything where we're wiping, and then we get to her and she's upset, which is like, what? Huh? You know, we expect her to be here, and she's, you know, woo! You know, her ponytail, her large ponytail is just flowing in the wind. But no, she's sad. The lyrics are so important, especially in this moment where, you know, she's saying, waited so long to break these walls down, to wake up and feel like me. And I mean, she's saying, like, waited so long to break these walls down. She's hoping that Golden seals the honeymoon and that she can no longer have these markings. Because when she says to wake up and feel like me, I mean, it's the revelation that she has, you know, all of these markings in everything, and something that she's been dealing with. And these are all just little details, but something that I love about this too is that when she takes it off, so far Rumi has been, I mean, all of them have been on point. You know, they're dressing, they're almost in a way perfect. And when she takes this off, you know, she's distressed in this moment. Look at this, the collar is messed up, you know, it's down, it's just kind of all over the place. So this adds to the contrast of Golden. You know, colors are contrasting, it's a lot more cool tone instead of this warm tone. See the side that we didn't really know. This is a big revelation for us. For her, she wants to live the way that everybody portrays her, and right now those markings, they prevent her from being who she thinks she needs to be. Golden, the song, you know, this is, she's nervous because this is essentially the moment she's been waiting for. Now again, I was saying that we have to look at the lyrics and we have to sometimes portray them, right? You know, when she was saying, I was alone, she was alone. This is interesting because we're doing the opposite here. You know, the song is saying, like, no more hiding, I'm gonna be who I'm gonna be, because she wants to be free of these markings. But when she says no more hiding, just the irony and there's just so much emotion of no more hiding. And what does she do? She starts covering up her markings. So she's going against what she needs to do, you know, but for her, she feels like she needs to do it. And yeah, it's just, I'm actually getting chills of no more hiding. That sleeve is coming on. Quick little detour here. I just want to say, because I'm pausing on this moment, look at all of the detail in that embroidery. Man, A+ texture artist, A+. But she's, you know, she's closing up. And it's interesting because she's always been closed. You know, Zoe and Mira have always wanted to go to the bathhouse and everything. She's always been closed, and the symbolism of her putting the jacket on, covering her markings, and zipping up to literally be closed off. To literally, she's literally choking herself. It's so tight. You know, she's not actually choking, but the zipping up, it's all this symbolism, and it's just, it's powerful. It's kind of funny, and all right, it's not funny, but you know, she says, because We Are Hunter's voice is strong, and if you've seen the movie, you know what happens. Her voice isn't strong anymore. So, you know, a little foreshadowing there. But, you know, camera-wise, this is just, you know, we're rehearsing. The wide angle is showing us our new location. Okay, we're out of the dressing rooms. We're in the stage where they're going to do their first live performance. We get to see them, you know, rehearsing and everything. This is just interesting. We're doing the stick to cam, so you could see. They go to one pose. We're going to the next frame. The camera's moving, but they're not. Whenever I've used this stick to camera kind of method, which I have a video on if you're interested in seeing how to do it. Normally in a wide shot where we're seeing their feet, normally we don't do a stick to pose, because if you see here, if you look at their feet when I frame. So let's go to this pose. It slides on the ground. I just find it interesting because normally on a wide I wouldn't do it because you see the sliding, but I guess when you didn't have them stick to pose, they might have jittered, they might have like stuttered, so I guess it was necessary in this moment. And the crowd is going larger. Their plan is almost coming to fruition. So this tension of this whole song, we have this tension of, is this the song that's going to seal the honeymoon? We're like, is this actually going to work? Are they actually going to get what they want like immediately? And we're just building up that tension that the crowd is growing larger. They're anticipating it more. Man, they really just set this up to really just saying, Ruby's voice is so incredible. I can't wait to see it live. And you know, it's a setup. It's a setup to make that moment even just more depressing. Love how Bobby does the whole choreography. It's pretty hilarious. Huh. Okay. So, in this moment where the voice cracks, you know, this is a big moment and everybody's a little shocked. She said, and Rumi says, okay, let's just like take it from the top and we're going to go again. But then we cut to this, and cutting to this is very interesting. So I'm going to do a little top down here. I'm just going to do the little triangle. So we have Rumi, we have Zoe, we have Mira. And let's just say Bobby is just right in front. There's something called the, line of action. And if we drew an invisible line down the middle of this top down, our cameras beforehand are always on this side. So we have kind of like, let's say this is a wide. Even the close-up angles are a little bit more straight on, where they're more right in front, but a little favoring this side of the line. And even when we cut to Bobby, we're on this side of the line. Now, a kind of rule that we have in animation is that if you want to jump to the other side of the line, you usually have to be straight on. If we were on Bobby, we'd have to be directly in front of him. That is not directly in front of him, but I hope you get what I mean. And Rumi, it would have to be this, not like slightly off to the right. Sometimes the way that we could get around jumping to the other side of the line is to give uneasiness and to throw the audience off. This is a moment where Rumi and Huntrix and Bobby, they're all being thrown off. So if we go to the previous shot, again, we are here. We are slightly 3/4 on this side of the line. But when we cut, we are like all the way over here. We're on a wide shot. We're looking down. And there's a little bit more to this shot that I'll get to in a moment. But the side of the line thing is kind of the big one, because it's one of those things that an audience member might not realize it at first, but a cut is gonna feel weird, and normally we don't want that to happen. But if we can use that intentionally to help support our story, then it might be okay to do. In this case, we're thrown off, they're thrown off, let's throw ourselves off even more with this line jump. And the other thing that I like about this shot that aids in this whole entire uneasiness, throw off kind of feel is we're in the rafters and we're kind of moving slowly. A shot like this, when you're like up in the trees or you're up in the rafters and it feels like there's somebody like prey, like some sort of mountain lion or something is gonna jump out and attack them. But it's usually like Predator uses it a lot. It's almost a POV of this villain, of this creature. So there is no villain or creature in this moment, but that move, that angle, and the line jump all kind of aid in that uneasiness feeling. And I just find that really interesting. So, I don't know about you, but if you just thought this was just like, oh, that's a cool angle, let me know in the comments if you're like, I didn't even realize that. Because there's a lot of little things that we can do. Like I said earlier, there are always exceptions when it comes to rules. How we could take those rules, flip them on its head, and how can we take that, flip it on its head, and make it support the story that we're trying to tell? Now we're straight on, You know, now we're right in the center. And usually, if we need to jump to the line again, like I said, you need to be in the center. So this allows us to get back on track, but that jumping of the line is just a quick thing to throw us off. Again, maybe this is something that's I'm reaching a little bit, but what I find interesting about this is where her voice is going to crack again, right? Well, Zoe and Mira are actually like heading out of this shot. And we also have the lights that are kind of leading up towards her head. So our focus is on her, right? Them leaving the shot is enabling our focus to be more on her. But also, like in the beginning of the music video, it's starting to feel like she's alone. And that's what she feels like with, you know, all the markings and everything. Look at those great markings. That's what it feels like with all those markings on her, is that she feels alone, she feels isolated. And in this moment where her voice is breaking, they're moving away, bringing back in the isolation, when at the beginning of the shot, they were more with her. You know, still off to the sidelines, but not like at the corner at the end. I like this, instead of cutting to the insert of Bobby before where it was a medium, we get to be over the shoulder on Rumi. And the reason why we want to be over the shoulder in this moment is because we want to see Rumi's reaction. Even if we're not seeing it on her face, we might see it in the body language that she has. And the body language is actually, she is frozen. She is shocked. I mean, look at her. She's like, is this really happening? But this was an absolute blast to react to. Again, every K-pop Demon Hunter video is just so different. It's really great to sit down, take a look, try to build my mental library, and hopefully educate for you guys some of what's going on and what we think about as artists when we're crafting this. You know, I'm curious for the people that worked on it, if while working on it, they knew that it was going to be, you know, as big as it is now. I have a little bit of experience on that. Not K-pop Demon Hunters, but this guy right here, Mando. I worked on Mandalorian, I worked on multiple seasons, but working on season 1, I knew it was going to be big. I didn't realize how big it would actually get. And I'm curious for like the animators and everybody that worked on it, if that was the feeling too, like, hey, this could be really special. Oh, I didn't expect that special. And thank you guys for tuning into these reactions. I really like doing these reactions. I'm really pleased that people like them. And, you know, let me know in the comments if you like it, if you'd like to see anything specific. I think it was the bus fight scene is on the list. I know Ratatouille is on the list. If there's anything other than K-pop Demon Hunters, what would you want to see? Or if there's anything in K-pop Demon Hunters that I haven't reacted to, what would you want to see? But thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one.